Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of First Attack. Hope the volume is doing alright for everybody. Of course, we're trying a new setup here that people seem to have preferred over our previous setup. And welcome to another Monday, Monday night of Ultra Chen TV. Following this, of course, will be Level 3 Focus with Mr. Ultra David, of course. And today, on First Attack, so I was kind of doing a new little series of shows recently. Last week, I did a show where I basically tried to teach air combos to Street Fighter players and kind of going over sort of the weird quirks when it comes to air combos and why air combos can be so frustrating to deal with. I talked about stuff like, different launch heights and different timings and delaying and such. Now, I've actually gotten probably, I would say, more messages from people saying that they play Marvel and they are having trouble transitioning over to Street Fighter. So I'm going to do a similar thing right now. And it's interesting to me because one of my favorite stories that I always like to tell was at B5. I remember watching a player who he was playing MVC2 and he had Magneto combos all day. He was going crazy with all like these Magneto loops and ROM infinites and stuff. And ROM infinites are hard. I've almost never been able to do a ROM infinite in my life in MVC2. For those of you guys who don't know what it is, it's like a really complicated super jump air dash down, super jump air dash down repeatedly over and over again, getting an infinite that way. And then the funny thing was I saw this exact same player go play CVS1. And he tried to do low forward into super, and he couldn't do it. And he was like, gosh, this game is so hard. The execution is so hard in this game. And I was like, what? You just came from Marvel where you're doing crazy Magneto infinites, and now you're complaining about low forward super in Street Fighter. But, that's just the way it is. Whatever you're used to, you're used to. So the interesting thing is, so for me, starting from Street Fighter and going to Marvel, it's hard for me to picture what difficulties you can have going from Marvel to Street Fighter, going the opposite direction. So late last week, I actually sent out a tweet to everybody and asked what problems they have the most. And without question, the number one answer that I got from everybody was links. People cannot do links. They're so used to doing chains that when it comes time to Street Fighter, when they want to slow down and do links, they can't do it. There's just something in their brain that can't quite trigger them to slow down a little bit and time things a little more accurately. So the reason why I'm starting here with Marvel on the screen here, you can see I have an interesting selection of characters here. The reason why I'm actually starting with Marvel here is because, yes, it's kind of hard getting used to doing links, but I'm telling you guys right now, you guys have been doing links in Marvel all along. You probably just didn't realize it, and you're just probably not aware of the fact that it's actually happening. Sure enough, there's chains like this, where you don't really have to time everything and you get everything out that way. But all the characters that I've actually picked here, all 6 characters have links. And very, very useful links. This is not just kind of like, oh yeah, they have links. But these are real practical bread and butter links. Right there. Gunshot OTG. Gunshot OTG into low strong. Into low medium. Very common Wesker combo. Very bread and butter here. That is a link. Why is that a link? Because I can't cancel the gun into low strong. Or to low M, I should say. If I try, I'm going to get a teleport. And even if I couldn't teleport that, you just can't actually chain those moves. You can't chain them at all. So what you've learned to do is time that crouching M after the gunshot has finished. That is a link. That's essentially what a link is. So the way that I always like to describe a link is being able to connect multiple moves together without any special sort of cancel technique. I mean, there's obviously, special cancels, there's chain combos, but in the case of this, that's just a link. Now, of course, the difference between this game and a lot of other games is, between, I should say, Marvel and Street Fighter, is the window that you have to perform a link is generally a lot larger in this game, which actually changes with time based on hit stun deterioration. So for example here, I'm not going to be able to get this combo off, I don't think. I don't think this works, yeah. So I might have to do a stand jab instead. So stand jab will work there, so I can link there. But the point being, sometimes links in Marvel can actually be very tight as well, depending on how far the hit stun deterioration is gone. So that's an example of a link there. This is, of course, is another example of a link, very famous one right here. That's a link. I cannot cancel my overhead into a special move at all. So if I wanted to do overhead into zip, not going to happen, right? If I want to cancel into team, not going to happen. Into a super, not going to happen. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do overhead into that move right there. The I don't even know what the move is called now that I think about it. It's just that move that's really fast and powerful. But so that's a link as well. Now that link is actually a lot easier than most other links because you're linking into a special move. Special moves are very easy to link into. If you watch the episode, I believe it's Execution Part 2, I actually talk about the difference between plinking and double tapping and why special moves are easy to link out of thanks to double tapping. And so, but point being, that's a link, right? Oops. Another link that you'll actually see people do. Let's see if I can get this. I'm not a Zero player, but there is a setup that Zero has that he can go into his loop on the ground. Right there, okay? So what I'm actually doing here is launching, down C, and then regular C. Down C, regular C. That, again, a link, and a very common sequence that's actually used by Zero players. Again, the window for this is pretty large. I can kind of just mash H and get it to link. But again, it's a link, and you have been doing these things. So the reason why I'm showing you these things is because if you understand that you've been doing links all along, now you can kind of transition those things mentality-wise into Street Fighter. She-Hulk has overhead into low short. Oops. Overhead into low short. That's a link. She also has a link where you can do, let me see, let me get into the corner here. She also has another link, which is a very different kind of link, where you finish an air combo and then come down and butt slam afterwards, and then link in a crouching L there. So the butt slam, you can't cancel, you can't chain into another move, but you can actually link into low L like that. So again, another link. So let's try another link here. Felicia has a link here. Very standard bread and butter here. That's a link right there. Slide into stand L. That is a link. I'm not doing any sort of special cancel. It is just one move ends and I can time the last one. And for the last example I'm going to give you guys here, I'm going to use Akuma. Super up here into, oops, oh, I should do the other one, sorry. Is it this one? No. Oh yeah. Am I doing this wrong? Let me see. So fireball, super, into S. So you know you can combo the super into S and get that. That's how Akuma players actually do the double super in the corner. You get the super here into S, that's a link, and then you get an OTG super right there. Again, another link. So I want people to understand that a lot of players have been using links in Marvel for a very long time. And once you understand that concept, now that you know that when you're playing Marvel, if you're a Wesker player and you go to Street Fighter, you can't do links. Now you understand that the timing is somewhat closer to Wesker gunshot OTG into crouching medium. So I just wanted to show you guys that links are not as rare as you think, and they're definitely in Marvel. So use that as the proper mentality when going over to Street Fighter and doing links. So Now what I'm going to show you guys is I'm going to talk a little bit more about links in general now that I've already shown you guys all this stuff. So technically speaking, what is a link exactly? So what qualifies as a link? What does not qualify as a link? So when you watch all that stuff that I did in Marvel, why do I call some things links as opposed to chains? The way that I've always interpreted links is it's just a way to combo two moves without any special canceling in between. That is a link. So if I go jab, jab like this, that's not a link because I'm actually canceling the jab into another jab, light punch into another light punch. However, if I do low, strong, can Ken even do this? Yes. Oh, no. I know they nerfed Ken a lot in AE, so he actually lost a lot of his links. I can't remember which ones he has now. Well, I know he has low jab into low strong. Like that. So what's happening with links is that the jab animation is actually completing all the way. And we've talked about frame data before. We've talked about how, if you guys haven't actually seen it yet, I would recommend going back to the episode that I had a long time ago called Frame of Mind that teaches how frame data works and such. So, for example, I talked about Ken here. If you look at it, Ken's low jab is +5 on hit. So I have 5 frames where I can move before Ryu has recovered from his hit reel. My crouching medium punch has a startup of 5 frames. So because it has a startup of 5 frames, it hits on the 5th frame, and I'm +5 off the low jab. That's why I can actually get that to combo. So that's basically what links really are, is just comboing two moves without any special technique in between them. And that's, let me see here, sorry. And yeah, so the only difference between Marvel and Street Fighter, the thing that makes this that much more difficult is because in Street Fighter, many of the links are going to be about 1 frame links, 2 frame links, whereas in Marvel you probably have like 3 or 4 frame links most of the time in a lot of the combos that you're doing. There are some examples, like I said, of very specific links, but they're not too common. You're not going to have to use them all that much, but just keep those situations in Marvel in mind. If you're a Spencer user and you do overhead into bionic mini arm, God, I should just look up what the hell that name is because it sounds so stupid when I say that. Bionic mini arm.
Armor piercer.
Armor piercer, that's what it is. Okay. So if you do it into Spencer overhead into armor piercer, you know you can't cancel the overhead. So you know you have this timing where you purposely delay your moves, and that's the mentality you should have here in Street Fighter. So a lot of people who told me when they tweeted me that when they come to Street Fighter, they can't help but try to mash moves when, they try to do combos and stuff like that. So if I try to do low jab into low strong, they're just mashing it and it's not going to combo. So that's the biggest difference between Street Fighter and Marvel, is that the timing for links is very, very, very rough. And there's a lot of techniques that'll help you overcome those situations. So let me take a break real quick. I'll be right back, and when I come back, I'm going to talk a little bit more about some of those techniques that can help you and just some of the mentalities you want to have to perform these links. All right, so we will be right back. Alright, welcome back everybody to First Attack. I'm going over some links here to try to help Marvel players who really actually want to come back and learn Street Fighter, how to accomplish these things. And I want to talk about a few techniques, and one of the main techniques that's going to help you with links before anything else is plinking. And this only works in Street Fighter 4, and it only works in Street Fighter Cross Tekken. So this isn't going to help you when you go and play a lot of other games such as King of Fighters or Super Turbo or HDR or even Third Strike or CVS2. Every single one of those games has links. However, I'm not going to talk about plinking in this episode because I already did a whole episode where half of it was dedicated to plinking. Again, that was Execution Part 2. So please check out our archives on youtube.com/UltraChenTV and find Execution of All Things Part 2. And I talk about plinking. I talk about plinking there, give all sorts of details, explain why it works and such. So for the rest of today, I'm going to show you guys links without using plinking, because there's a lot of techniques that can be used where you to actually allow you to do links without using plinking. I played Street Fighter 4 when it first came out without using plinking at all, and I was able to do a lot of links before that. And really what it comes down to is rhythm. I mean, as it sounds like a DJ thing. Your problem is you have no rhythm, man. The way links work is you want to memorize a rhythm. You want to feel a rhythm. And this is actually going to be this is going to make more sense to people who play musical instruments, who listen to music a lot, who like to dance and stuff. If you have a musical, if you really enjoy music, if you have that musical side, it helps a lot when you're doing links. Especially because on a joystick, it actually helps a lot more on a joystick because you can hear the button presses. You hear that noise there. And if you're really rhythmically inclined, I will call it, it's a lot easier to time your links because you can start adjusting the rhythm in which you're hitting the buttons. The worst thing you can do is mash. The worst thing you can do to do links is mash. The best way to learn links is to just hear the rhythm in your head and get used to it. Music is a very powerful learning tool. I've talked about this a long time ago on my now defunct blog, but it's amazing how many things you can memorize thanks to music. And so here's, for example, I'm going to try that low jab into low strong link. It's a one frame link. Now, the important thing is listen to my buttons. Okay, that was not a combo. That's not a combo. Now, if you don't actually pay attention to the rhythm at which you are hitting the buttons, there's no way you're going to be able to adjust your link timing to be more consistent. What you have to do is listen to the timing that you're hitting the buttons. So all I know is bop, bop. That's the timing that I'm hitting the buttons. Bop, bop. And it's not comboing. So now I want to do something a little faster than that. Okay, so now I'm going to do that same timing again. Bop, bop. That's the timing I'm doing. Bop, bop. Bop, bop. And you can see that I'm hitting it too fast now. So this is, like I said, in Marvel, that zero combo you saw me do, I'm mashing. I'm not lying. I'm mashing H, and you can still get down H into regular H just fine, just by mashing. It's not going to happen in this game, so you just have to keep working on this. And you have to build this rhythm. You have to build this pace in your head. So I just tried bop, 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 bop. Didn't work. Now I'm going to slow it down. So I went bop, bop. Now I'm going to go bop, 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 bop. Still too fast. Bop, bop. There we go. Bop, bop. Too slow there. Bop, 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 bop. Bop, 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 bop. But you see, now I've gotten it 50% of the time, and this is just, and I chose Ken because I don't really use Ken that often, so I don't know this link timing very well. And so what you're seeing here, what you're seeing me do here is, obviously I'm making weird duck horn noises, and that's not what I'm doing when I'm actually practicing links. But I'm just using that as an example for you guys to understand what my mindset is, what I'm actually trying to do these links. If it wasn't for, obviously if I'm sitting at home, all I'm doing is listening to the buttons. And you saw right there, I just did it 3 times in a row. missed once and got it again. And that's because I'm not distracting myself with my annoying duck calls. I can actually hear the buttons. But by learning that rhythm there, by always hearing that rhythm, you're going to be able to do your links a lot better. And I mean, it's really just hard for me to explain much more than just getting this rhythm in your head. So it's very important that you listen. So I'm trying to do stand jab into low forward right now. And once you get that down, then once you start playing the game a lot more, that rhythm gets ingrained in your head and you start to be able to do these links a lot easier. So practice that link again. There it is, right there. There it is again, right there. So you can get these links this way. And again, it's really just all about hearing the timing. Make sure you listen. Make sure you listen. There's a second way to actually practice your links. I'm an audio person, so I am rhythmically inclined. I had piano lessons when I was growing up. I can't play much piano anymore because I just don't practice anymore. But if you are rhythmically inclined, that will actually help you a lot in terms of performing links. Another, yeah, exactly. I'm Asian, of course. I'm actually learning piano. wasn't my choice. I do regret, honestly, not learning more, but whatever. We don't need to get into my childhood here. This is not psychiatry with James Chen here. Another version of learning links is visually. Some people are more inclined to knowing their links by visual cues. You're more of a visual kind of person. You're very careful at looking at things and noticing distances, right? So, for example, she has crouch hard punch into low forward. Now, I will do this based off of rhythm. This is a 2-frame link, so it's going to be a lot easier for me to hit. But I'm doing it through rhythm. But you can actually do it through visual. If you watch Cammy and you learn to time hitting her low forward kick the moment she retracts her arm, then you can get it. Of course, like I said, that is not how I do links. Right now I'm trying to do it visually, so you can see I'm having a little problems with it. But I know other people actually do it this way. And so now I'm getting a little used to it. Just timing it when I see her arm comes back. You don't have to look at Ryu once you start hitting him with this combo. You don't care what he's doing. You just want to time this combo properly. So look at Cammy, don't look at Ryu. And as soon as you see her arm pull back, that's when you actually want to time the button push. Wow. I'm really bad at this visual technique, I'll tell you this right now. Okay, there we go. Yep, so that's another way. But again, it's the same kind of concept. It's just giving yourself cues to be able to perform your links more consistently. Because if you're not using an audio cue, if you're not using a visual cue, then really you're just going by random. You're really just going by luck. And the nice thing about it is the more you play your characters, the more you play them, these rhythms get ingrained into your brain. And you can start doing them more consistently. But the key really comes down to is don't count on luck and don't count on mashing. Like you are not going to get this link consistently if you just mash like this. It's not going to work. So don't count on that. Don't count on just like, you know what, I know it's a link. I really want to try this link here. No, make sure you have a technique, whether it's an audio cue or a visual cue, that will help you perform that link. I had another thing that I wanted to say. I forgot what it was. So, okay, never mind. But another example of... Actually, I don't want to do this one because I want to save this for something else. Okay, so yeah, make sure you have a technique, and then once you start using that technique to learn the links, use that technique to get it ingrained in your body. because what happens is when you go to a tournament, sometimes you don't have, the sounds. There's an example. Akuma can do Raging Demon into OTG Super Fireball in Marvel, and if he's on English voice, I use his speech to tell me when to time the Tiger Knee into Super. You aren't always going to have those audio cues there. Sometimes when you're playing at tournaments or whatever like that, you may be at an odd angle or whatever. You're not going to be able to get the visual cues. Plus, you have the stress of dealing with another opponent, so you're not going to just be able to calmly sit here and watch Cammy retract her arm, or you're not going to have this rhythm in your head very easily, because there's so much noise going around here. The whole key is to, in a contained environment, practice these links, get used to them, and keep doing them enough, especially if you play online. So, for example, if you're playing Cammy and you suck at this link, you suck at low fierce into low forward, you're really bad at this, then what I would say is that when you play online, every time Ryu misses an uppercut, make sure you go for that combo. If you ever hit him with a focus attack, go for that combo. If you ever hit him with the Tiger Knee dive kick, go for that combo. Make yourself learn that combo. Go to training mode, practice it a little bit, keep practicing that timing, and then in real battle, go for it. Yes, you're bad at it. Yes, you are going to lose games for it. Yes, you're going to be scared, you're going to feel stupid because you're missing these combos and your opponent must be thinking, boy, this Cammy's a scrub. Doesn't matter. Play to learn, don't play to win, because that is how you're going to improve yourself as a player. And once you improve yourself, that's when you can start playing to win. So if you put yourself in pressure situations and you miss that and you die because you missed that link, that's going to train you into getting your timing a little more tightly. And you keep doing that in a game. I've talked about the Sako combo before with Cammy here. The only reason why I learned how to do that I've actually gotten to the point where I can rely on myself doing the Sako combo now is only because I've kept trying it in real matches to the point where I became confident enough to do it and memorize the rhythm. Now, obviously, there is that whole other element of plinking that makes Street Fighter 4 vastly easier to do links. Street Fighter 4 and Cross Tekken both have links, and it's very easy to do links because of plinking. Like I said, I've already done an episode on plinking, so take the time and watch that. But the reason why I wanted to cover links without plinking in this episode is because what I'm teaching you right now is more applicable to Super Turbo, to CVS2, which is full of links. CVS2 is all about links. Third Strikes has some links. Actually, is Third Strike a heavy link game? Not as much as CVS2 and Street Fighter 4. CVS2 is a super heavy link game. Super Turbo is a very heavy link game. Did I just say Super Turbo twice? Or did I say CVS2? Whatever the case is, Super Turbo and CVS2 are heavy link games. The only main difference is that their windows are a lot larger. You don't have as many one-frame links in those games. They exist, but the bread and butters that you want to do, not that many one-frame links. And in Street Fighter 4, many of the very important combos are indeed one-frame links. And that's what makes this that much harder. And I want to go over one other concept. It's a little too early for me to jump to a commercial, but I'm going to jump to a commercial anyway, because I actually want to take the time to swap out Marvel for Cross Tekken, because Cross Tekken has a good, it's going to help me demonstrate a concept a little bit easier. So I'll be right back after I pop in some Cross Tekken. So stick around. Welcome back, guys. The first attack. I am going to. I want to talk about a specific concept in Street Fighter 4 that a lot of people have big trouble with, and I'm going to use one of the new concepts in Street Fighter Cross Tekken to help demonstrate it, because it's a lot easier to understand. Before I do that, I want to address a comment that somebody actually put in the stream chat just now, saying that you do not need to plink in Street Fighter Cross Tekken. This is actually not true. Plinking is very useful in Street Fighter Cross Tekken, and I will show you exactly why, because it's related to the concept that I want to teach right now. So, someone asked me, what tourneys have I won? Back in the days of Alpha 3, CVS 1, and CVS 2, I won a lot of tournaments back there. I at least got second place. When CVS 2 was brand new at Southern Hills Golfland, I finished second or third consistently, week after week. In CVS 1, I got second place in the first two tournaments. I won an Alpha 3 tournament at UCLA, beating Jason Cole in grand finals, and I beat Ed Ma in that tournament as well. So I won a CVS 2 tournament, the big E3 tournament at Golfland against Tragic that year. So I used to win a lot of tournaments. I used to place very high. I just don't practice anymore, so that's why I'm so horrible now. So, I say this because a lot of people don't know. I mean, they just don't know the history that I've had with tournaments in the past. And right now, I just look like the scrubbiest ass player in the entire world. And so, it's hard. It's hard for me as a person to just get bodied at every tournament, knowing that I used to be a tournament caliber player and I'm not anymore. So, I'll take the opportunity to brag a little bit about my past. But that's all I'm doing now is living in the past. But what I want to talk about here with Street Fighter Cross Tekken is the concept of the chain combos that they have here. So obviously crouching hard punch is cancelable into a fireball, but if I chain here, I cannot cancel into a fireball anymore, right? We all know this. If you do a cross rush, you cannot cancel anymore unless it is an EX move, right? So if we don't count EX moves, just count regular special moves. Cross rushing, I can. So if I ever do a chain, I can't cancel into a special move. That is actually what makes links really useful for Street Fighter Cross Tekken, is if you want to do more buff combos, you're going to want to do links like that, like low strong into low forward link. And that's where plinking is actually still useful in this game, because that is going to get you the bigger damage than always going into the cross rush. So plinking is still very useful in Street Fighter Cross Tekken, but that's not the main thing that I wanted to talk about. What I wanted to talk about is just this concept here that chaining does not let you cancel into special moves. But if I link, I can chain into special moves. So the reason why I want to talk about this is one of the more difficult concepts in Street Fighter 4, and that is comboing multiple low jabs or low shorts into a special move. A lot of people have trouble with this technique. When they try to learn Street Fighter, and admittedly is a very, very irritating technique. It's really vague, esoteric. It's just, why does it work the way that it does? All right, so before I explain why this works, one of my favorite things I like to do is just talk about history. And in the very, very, very early days of Street Fighter 2, back, when bread was still 5 cents, and we had to deal with dinosaurs on the way to work and such. Even though you had a move that could cancel in low short, like Cammy's low short right there, if you did a chain, you actually couldn't cancel it anymore. So if I did low short, low short, low short, I couldn't combo it. You can't cancel it anymore. It's the same concept as in Cross Tekken. So that's the reason why I put in Cross Tekken, is to demonstrate it in a little bit more of a familiar recent game method. If I chain my shorts into each other, they are no longer cancelable. Now, the old CPS 1, CPS 2 games, which are the Street Fighter 2 series, let me just say. The Street Fighter 2 series had some ways that you could actually get around that by switching between standing and crouching, but we don't want to get into that. The next game that really becomes pertinent to talk about is CVS 1 and CVS 2, especially CVS 1. For those people old enough to have played CVS1, they got rid of that restriction. You could do low short, low short, low short into a special move at any point in time. And actually what happened was CVS1 became a low short fest. Every character, that's all they did. Cammy would do low short drill. Vice would do low short shoulder charge into grab. Yuri would do low short. Well, actually, she would just low short into link into low roundhouse. But Ryu would just do low short into hurricane kick, etc., etc. Every character was all about low short into a special move. Sakura low short into uppercut, etc., etc. And you know what? It was pretty stale. It was a really stale game, and unbeknownst to a lot of people, in an early beta version of Street Fighter 4, they did not have this restriction. It was like CVS, where you could cancel the third hit into a special move, even if you chained it. And for those people who actually played the beta, they said it was terrible. It became a low short fest again. Everyone just walked up, low short, special move. Low short, special move. It was pretty much the most powerful thing in the game. And so it was kind of dumb. I mean, it was dumb. It made the game boring, and it made the game very basic, very simple. But then what happened was, obviously, once you started hitting with low jabs, there wasn't anything you could do, so everyone just sat there and low short, and nothing happened. Low short, and it was kind of boring. So the way they actually remedied this was by allowing you to link off of a lot of these moves. So now you can actually do low short, low jab, low strong into a combo. Like that, for example. And so that actually increased the options off of these rapid fire weak attacks. Otherwise, they'd be kind of useless. But this doesn't really explain why. I think one of the trials for Rose has low jab into shawl charge. Let me find Rose. I don't even know where she is. There she is. So someone asked me, why do I keep referencing CVS1, CVS2, Super Turbo, when this is for noobs and such like that? They won't understand the reference. It's not a reference. I'm not necessarily trying to reference these old games, as in, do you remember this? I will ask, do you remember? For those of you who did play it, you'll remember this. But the reason why I'm referencing it is because I'm trying to explain to you why they took these things away, why Capcom has decided to go certain routes and get rid of those systems. A lot of people ask, why can't I just do low jab into shawl charge? Why is there this stupid, crazy, vague, esoteric thing in there? And the reason why is because when you could cancel it, like you could in CVS1, it made the game boring. So it's kind of a history lesson, kind of a way to explain to you the logic why people have actually gone through that. So that's the main reason why I'm bringing up a lot of these old games. Now, there's that one trial here where they want you to actually do that with Rose. Low jab into shawl charge. And for the most part, a lot of people who don't understand the concept of linking, this is just blind luck whether you're going to get it out or not. And so the trick to this actually is, remember I talked about cross Tekken again. When you chain, you can't cancel. When you link, you can cancel. That is what you have to understand about these combos, where you actually combo 3 jabs and still get the shawl charge like that. Let me actually grab something really quick, guys. Hang on a second. Back to the power of the whiteboard. Here we go. What I'm going to show you guys here is why this works. Why you can do this with Rose sometimes and why you can't, and what you have to learn to make it work. So here we go. Back to the awesome technology, my friends, that is known as the whiteboard. So what I'm going to show you guys right now is Rose's low jab. Here's the low jab. And what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to deem this the startup. This is the active frames, and that's the recovery right there. So what you have here is the startup, active frames, and recovery. The way rapid fire weak attacks work is that if I do Rose's low jab and it connects on the opponent, whether it hits them or not, if I hit light punch again anywhere, let me change colors here. If I hit low jab again anywhere from the, this is actually not accurate. If I hit it from the start of the active frame anywhere to recovery, if I hit light punch again, it's considered a chain. So I can be in recovery here. If I hit light punch right here, I will chain into another light punch. If I hit it here, I will chain into another light punch. Now, the tricky thing about Rose is that, and with most of the characters with these combos, is that the hit stun of your opponent is pretty long compared to the recovery. So let's say I hit Ryu on my first active frame, and he's actually going to reel about this long. So what happens here, if you take a look at...
Hey, it's not focused, I can't see.
Oh, shoot. Thanks, David, for letting me know that it is not focused. All right, let me start all over again. Explain this a little bit better. Come on, camera. You can see my hand. Hang on a second, guys. Let me try to get this focused a little bit better. There we go. There we go. Now you can see it. Okay.
Yeah, we want you to start over.
Let me start all over again. No problem. I have no problem doing that. We will edit this part out maybe if we're not lazy. Okay. So here we go. This is what we have here. And I had talked about... Did it lose focus again? It lost focus again. Come on. Come on, camera. Focus. Focus. Yo, really? You're going to be like this? Yo, you're going to be like this? Really, camera? Focused. Focused. And it lost focus again. Okay, let me try something here, guys. I will see if I can fix this situation here. Not sure why I've been able to get it to work before without having it go out of focus like this. Let me try again. Okay, so it's focused now. I'm going to scoot it back a little further. Okay, now it's staying in focus. All right, let's start all over again, folks. I'm going to do this by erasing the whole thing because it'll actually help to hear this whole thing from the beginning. Alright, so I've got Rose's low jab right here. When I hit the button, this is the frame information, the frame data that you're getting out of Rose's low light punch, low jab. There's a few frames of startup, about a couple of active frames here. So I think it's like about this. And then there's a few recovery frames here. I'm making up these frame data right here. But here are the active frames right here. So we've got startup, active frames, and recovery frames. Okay, good. I'm still in focus here. So the key here is that when you actually, with rapid fire weak attacks, they have the ability to chain into themselves. And one of the things I talked about in Marvel last week, when I talked about the chain timing, how you can actually cancel a move super late and such, it actually applies to these rapid fire weak attacks. Because if I hit light punch any time during the active frames, if it connects, if the opponent gets hit by it or blocks the light punch, if I hit another light punch any time during an active frame or a recovery frame, it is considered a chain. Another light punch will start. if I hit the button right here on the very last frame, this will start a new light punch and it will be considered a chain, not a link. This will be considered a chain. If I hit it over here on this active frame here, this will be counted as a chain. So the deal with this is that light punches in general, especially light punches, more so than light kicks. Light punches give your character a lot of frame advantage on hit. So what I'm going to show you here, for example, is Ryu's hit stun. This is Ryu's hit stun if you hit him with the first active frame here. Now you notice that Rose is going to recover right here and has all this time here. So in other words, if I do another light punch starting on this frame, so I'm going to duplicate this light punch here. And we've got the active frames right here. And we've got recovery frames. Startup, active, recovery. What you can actually see here is I can let one light punch end and start the next light punch as a link. I'm hitting it late enough so that I'm not canceling it. And by not canceling it, that produces the link, and that is what lets me buffer this, because you have to think of this as a whole separate sequence now. I'm not chaining into another light punch. I'm just doing a light punch, letting it recover, and doing another light punch. And that's going to let me cancel it. Remember, if I do it just by itself, I can cancel it. If I chain it, I can't. So you see why this is so hard, because I have this gigantic window here. You saw with Ken when I was trying to do low jab into low strong. If I hit low strong, aka low medium punch too early, nothing came out. So you know you did it too fast. But in this case, if you hit it too early, you're actually still going to show up doing a light punch. And that's what's so deceiving about this technique, this method, is that you'll see a third light punch and it's timed badly, but it still looks like it's timed correctly. So it's really hard to tell the difference between when you actually time it right and when you time it incorrectly. So here, let me show you in the game again. Swap the cameras around for you guys. So, whoa, I'm about to knock everything over here. We have Rose here. That was a chain. I'm not letting the low jab finish, but I can link them. And I think for Rose, it's a one frame link. So Rose in particular is hard to do. But you can, if you listen to the rhythm of my buttons, I don't know if you guys can hear it. Let me put it on the table and you'll hear it for sure. I don't know if you can hear that slight delay between the second and the third crouching light punch. The timing for the first two is like that, and the timing for the last two is like, you can hear there's that slight delay. I'm letting it finish. And the reason why you don't just link 3 low jabs all the way through is because, one, it's much harder that way, because you don't want to make it that hard on yourself to link 2 jabs in a row. If you can chain it, you might as well take advantage of the easiness there. But you still have to make sure you link the last one. And like I said, this is one of the things that makes it so hard to understand, and it's such a weird concept. And again, the reason why I explained the history is you can kind of understand why it turned out that way. Now, another thing that makes it a little confusing is that, you know, the moves have to have the proper frame data for it. I'll show you this example here with Ryu. I can actually do low jab, low jab. I can do 3 low jabs into a fireball. Like that, right? Low jab, link low jab. And you can really see it with Ryu because his low jab gives him a lot more frame advantage than Rose's does. You can see that delay. I mean, if you guys are watching, you can see a noticeable delay between the second and the third one compared to the first two. Now, so the question really comes down to, so can I do low short, low short, low short fireball? Low short, low short, low short fireball. Short fireball. The answer is no. You can't do this. And people are going to wonder, well, why the heck can I do it with jabs? And why can't I do it with shorts? And the answer is that crouching short, crouching light kick does not give you enough frame advantage on hit. You cannot link a crouching short into another crouching short. And that's just the way the character's designed. It's why you can't link low forward into low forward, but you can link low strong into low strong. And that's another thing too. Actually, I'm really glad this kind of subject came up. One of the hard things about going from Street Fighter to Marvel is that in Marvel, everything chains. You know, it's like, oh, here we go. Here's the sequence. If I want to do light, medium, heavy, it works with most characters. But in Street Fighter 4, you have to know what links and what doesn't. And that just comes through experimentation or reading forums or reading frame data. So kind of like knowing what your special moves are, knowing what moves are cancelable and such, you have to know which moves can link. It's not something like Marvel, which is way more freeform, that everything chains into each other. That's another thing that makes it a little bit difficult to learn links in this game. But yeah, back to my main point. Low short simply cannot link into low short, which is why you actually see a lot of people do low short, low jab. They can chain a low short into a low jab, and the low jab gives them enough frame advantage there for the link. Oops, too far. There you go. So that's two links right there. So one link, two links. Oops, well, if I timed it right. In any case, I did earlier. But yeah, so that's pretty much all I want to cover to try to help the Marvel players. I wanted to go over super motions and such, but I'm out of time, so I'm going to go to a commercial break, come back, do a few Ask jchensor questions, and then we'll head to level 3 focus. So I'll be right back. Alright, welcome back everybody. Someone on stream just asked if I could do an Ibuki link. I'm not sure which one that you guys want me to do, but you know, that's one right there. Low jab, standing, medium kick, standing forward. Probably her most potent link. This is one that you have to learn with Ibuki, because this is what gives you her vortex. Because what you're really trying to do is combo that into that move right there, so you can start going with vortexes into low jab, into repeatedly do that over and over again. Oops. And I don't know how to do Ibuki vortexes, and ooh, I just super jumped and supered. But yeah, that is that's an example of an Ibuki link. And plinking is not next show. I've already done plinking. I did a plinking episode a while ago. It's execution part 2, so if you guys want to learn anything about plinking, you can actually see that. And so now someone actually says they want to see Rufus stand short into stand fierce. Alright, so I'm going to just do that, and then I'm going to jump into Ask jchensor. Can I do a show on how not to get random out online? Actually, that's a really important concept that I wish I could talk about. Maybe I will do that actually next show. Talk about a really important concept in that vein. But I mean, the thing about this link right here, plinking makes this link 10,000 times easier than without plinking. So if I try it without plinking, I'm very rarely going to land this, because this is a one frame link. Yeah, that's really hard. That one's hard. But as soon as I plink, I can get it way more consistently. Oops. See, right there. I mean, plinking is the way of the. I mean, the nice thing about it is when you learn plinking, it's actually a really cool technique. You almost kind of wish every game had plinking, because I would love plinking in CVS2 and Super Turbo and such, because plinking is a really cool technique in my opinion. But the fortunate thing is in those older games, you don't need them. If you're going back to learn those games, you can do links plenty easy without learning plinking. Street Fighter 4 is full of a lot of one-frame links, which kind of make plinking something that you have to learn. So I totally recommend it. Again, check our archives, youtube.com/UltraChenTV. Find Execution Part 2, and half the episode there is dedicated to plinking. All right. Let us do some Ask jchensor questions here. Again, if you guys want to send any questions over to me, just send them to ultrachentv@gmail.com. Either that, or you can tweet me a question. Just tweet to @ultrachen with the hashtag of AskJChensor. They're all one word. And you can ask me any question you want from any form. I mean, it can just be about execution. It could be about why things work. It could be about terminology. It could be about community questions. Anything you guys want, I'm willing to answer. So, all right. So let's see here. What do we got here? So speaking of terminology, one player, Murphy here, has asked what specific terms that he hears a lot. Mix-ups, setups, and meaty. Those are some terms that he hears us say a lot. Now, I covered meaty attacks last episode. Actually, that was in the Ask jchensor sequence. It's basically performing a move so that you hit with one of the later active frames. If you have 3 active frames in a move, you're trying to get it to hit in one of the last active frames. Easiest way to do it is by putting a move so that they get up into it, so they're invincible for the few frames before for the first few active frames. But check out that episode. I don't know if we got it up on the archives yet, but last week's episode should have some more details on it. Setups is really just about having specific situations that your opponent will tend to do what you want them to do, and you'll hit them with it. So, walking into a specific distance so that they'll want to jump at you, that's kind of setting them up. Getting a good cross-up on them waking up, that's another good setup. It's the start of a sequence that you're limiting your opponent on the kind of options they can do, and so you have your reactions all ready to go. That's the best way to put it, is that you're forcing the opponent into situations where they have to do one of the things where they have to react in only a few certain ways. Now, there's always going to be a way to react that's out of the ordinary. That's what makes Street Fighter so great. So setups, in general, are more putting situations where the majority of your opponents, where people are most likely to respond in a certain way, and you have a counter to every reaction that they have. That's kind of what a setup is. That's how we use setups a lot of the times when we do commentary and such. And the last one is, what was the last one? Mix-ups. Mix-ups is what you need to use to get your opponent to break their defense. If you took away chip damage, if you took away the ability to throw, if you took away overheads, your opponent can low block forever, and you will never be able to defeat them. I mean, they'll just be able to block forever. Thankfully, thanks to chips, thanks to baits, mix-ups, overheads, throws, and such, you can now beat your opponent even though they're trying to be defensive. That's what a mix-up is. It could be a high-low mix-up. Could be a high-low mix-up, for example, is in Marvel, Magneto air dashing down and going low, or hitting you with a air dash jumping L. It's a high-low mix-up. It could be left-right mix-ups. Viper doing instant air burn kicks when you're getting up. That's a left-right mix-up. It could be a throw or a not throw mix-up. A throw uppercut mix-up, let's just say, with Seth. He can walk up to you right when you get up and just meaty uppercut you. Meaty, see? Meaty uppercut meaning hit you right when you get up. Or he can do an SPD. And so he's got this mix-up now where if you touch a button, he uppercuts you, and if you don't do anything, he SPDs you. That's what a mix-up is. Breaking is having a sequence where the opponent has to guess what you're going to do, and you can open up their defense. Another question here from Everfrost. He asks, I have spent hours trying combos, and now he's accidentally conditioned himself to doing it wrong, which is entirely possible. Muscle memory is an evil thing. Muscle memory will get you both ways. For any of those guys who have actually watched me trying to do trials here, sometimes they'll see me do some... my muscle memory... I was trying to do Benimaru combos, and I was trying to cancel his knee bash into a super into his Neomax. And his Neomax is performed with 2 kicks. And there was about 3 or 4 times where I got to the end of the trial to do this cancel part, and every time I would do it, I would cancel into the super, and then I would do 2 punches instead of 2 kicks, so I would not do the Neomax, and then I'd have to do the trial all over again. Muscle memory can be evil. It can train you to do the wrong thing. And when that happens, you just have to consciously tell yourself, when you get to the, just when you're doing the whole combo, just keep repeating yourself, when I get to that part, hit the right buttons. When I get to the hit, or when I get to this part, this is what I want to do correctly. The only way you're going to break bad muscle memory and improperly conditioned muscle memory for doing combos is to keep doing it the correct way and get used to doing it the correct way. There's no real secret formula. Oh, there is one trick. There actually is one trick. Stop that combo, walk away. Come back again 15 minutes later. Come back again 10 minutes later. It's actually a really good way to untrain bad muscle memory, is don't let it commit. Sometimes your hands just get in a certain way that you keep doing the wrong thing. Take a break, step away, come back, and then all of a sudden it will work out properly. So Billy here asks, he wants to know how to do a crouching attack into an uppercut motion. In one of the early execution episodes, you'll probably remember that I talked about doing uppercuts from neutral, and so he's actually asking about that. How do I do low forward and then start at neutral and then do an uppercut? When you're trying to do a crouching uppercut, it's hard to do that, so I wouldn't recommend that. Here's answer part 1. Answer part 1 is there's 2 ways to do it. You can either just be really fast and just do low forward quickly uppercut motion, and that just takes speed. The other way to do it is look at the button inputs right over there. You can see I'm going to hit forward and then down. So that's the part of the uppercut. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit forward. I'm going to hit crouching medium kick when I hit down. So what I'm doing is I'm doing the uppercut motion, but hitting forward kick when I reach down. And then hitting jab. So what I'm doing is actually putting the low forward in the middle of my uppercut code. And then finishing the uppercut code. So I'm actually just doing uppercut with jab, but before I reach down forward and hit jab, I'm hitting forward first at the down position. That's the other way to learn how to do a crouching move into uppercut. Now, here's part 2 of the answer. If you're playing Street Fighter 4, you don't mind using shortcuts. This is not going to help you in older games if you ever decide to go that way. This is not going to help you in Marvel. This is not going to help you in King of Fighters. But if it's just Street Fighter 4 and Cross Tekken, you can use shortcuts. Now, he actually said he tries to use shortcuts, and what actually ends up happening is he comes out with super by accident a lot of the times. The easiest way to do it is to start at defensive crouch. Don't start at defensive crouch and try to do the shortcuts. If you try to start at defensive crouch, you might come out with that. You can just start at down forward. Hold down forward, and then when you hit a kick button like this, just go to down back and back to down forward. So just shift the controller back and forth. And you never even have to go to forward. Remember, this is shortcuts. You don't ever have to hit You don't ever have to reach forward on the joystick. You can stay at down. That's a code for uppercut. And you will never come out with super that way, even if I start at defensive crouch. If I just make sure never to get to forward, you will never come out with the super. So I can sit here and wiggle the joystick back and forth between the two bottoms as much as I want to, and I'm never going to come out with super. And it's just automatically going to come out with uppercut. And that's how you could take advantage of shortcuts. I actually do use this in some situations when I do Viper, Fierce Feint Fierce into EX Seismo. 100% I use code shortcuts for that because Viper doesn't exist in any other game, so I'm not worried that it's going to mess up my execution as a Viper in another game except for Marvel. And there's no way I'm playing Viper in Marvel. So, but yeah, that is a way to do it from crouching. It's the easiest way to do it. Hold offensive crouch, hit a button, go to defensive, back to offensive, and then just hit the punch button. It's the easiest way to do a crouching uppercut. And last question right here. Oh, this is a Marvel question here from Adam, talking about having trouble getting OTG assists to actually combo. He just doesn't come out in time most of the time, and the OTG misses like the gun. I would love to show you this. I apologize. I'm not going to do it for this episode, Adam. I will do it hopefully next episode when I have Marvel in, when I have it plugged in right now. I swapped Marvel out for Cross Tekken, so I don't want to take the time for that. So all I can say is watch last episode where I talked about the air combo, and please look at the Thor example that I had. This is the easy answer. This is the quick answer I can give. Watch the Thor combo I did so that I could combo the OTG Hammer Smash move. And listen to the logic I talked about spacing out your moves so that I hit them later in my jump so I land faster. That's actually really key to getting the OTG assists. If you do the air combo so fast that you're still at the height of your jump and have to land all that way, you're not going to be able to call your assist until you land because you can't call an assist in a super jump. So what you want to do, space out your normal moves in the sky so that you land right after you hit him. Right after you hit the opponent with the jumping S that plummets them to the ground so that you land quickly and are able to call out your assist quicker. So watch last week's episode for the Thor OTG section that I had. If you still have trouble with it, you still have questions, by all means, tweet me again, send me another email. I will go back to it next week, but hopefully that'll help enough, and you'll be able to do it after that. Again, if you guys want to send me any questions to Ask jchensor, if you want a question answered, send me a tweet at UltraChenTV with the hashtag AskJChensor. If your question is a lot longer than 140 characters, send me an email at ultrachentv@gmail.com. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Stick around for some level 3 focus with Ultra David.